Hello and welcome to the first X-Wing flight video brought to you by Out of Art Gaming. My name is Phil. Now this game was recorded down at Entoyment in Poole, and what I'm going to do is run through the list that were being flown on the day, break down what's happening in the game, discuss what went well, what didn't go well, what was going through the players' minds, and hopefully just give you an overview of what was happening in this game. Now looking at the two lists, on the left we actually do have myself running triple K-Wings. We have Miranda Donny with Lando Calrissian, Veteran Turret Gunner, Cluster Missiles, Advanced Slam and Proton Torpedoes. Supporting Miranda we have two Warden Squadron K-Wings, both with Perceptive Co-Pilot, Proton Bombs, Skill Bombardier, Barrage Rockets and Advanced Slam. On the right hand side we have Quinn, a regular down at Entoyment. He is running Han Solo in the Millennium Falcon with Boba Fett, Lats Razzie, BT-1, Inertial Dampeners, Cluster Missiles, Shield Upgrade, Trick Shot and Lando's Millennium Falcon. Docked on that we have the Autopilot Drone. Now this game was pre-points update, so it does actually have a shield device on there. So for the eagle-eyed out there, you'll notice 3 shields on the Autopilot Drone. Unfortunately, by the time we got to do the overlay for this, the points update had taken effect, so we couldn't actually add that on. So I've just amended that for posterity. We also have a Sarge Ventress in the Lancer class Pursuit Craft or Shadowcaster. She has Tobias Beckett, Hate, Rigged Cargo Chute, Contraband Cybernetics, Shield Upgrade and the Shadowcaster title. So we have 2 very stacked ships on Quinn's side and 3 quite heavily stacked ships on my side. Now, it's an interesting setup here. We can see that Han Solo has set up on the rock using the Boba Fett crew card, which allows him to place himself in reserve at the setup. Once all forces are set up, he may then set up at range 0 of an obstacle, outside of range 3 of the enemy. Now, Quinn also has Tobias Beckett there, which would have allowed him to actually move 1 obstacle, which would have given him a clear advantage. Unfortunately, as is the case when you have a lot of upgrades on your ship, some things do get missed there. So unfortunately he did miss that Tobias Beckett chance, which would have given him a really good position to set that Falcon up. And quickly going into the game here, we can see that the K-Wings are taking a leisurely move up the board with a Sarge Ventress doing a hard 5 coming right at them. Be interested to see how that pans out. Now I'm just going to run through the K-Wing list again, just go through some of the upgrades on there and some of the decisions behind why this list was the list I chose and the reason I put some of the upgrades on there. So one of the reasons I flew the triple K-Wings, Quinn actually turned around to me and said he never sees K-Wings on the board anymore. No one ever flies them. And he knew I had 3, so he asked if I could put together a list with 3 K-Wings. And I thought, you know what? Why not? Give it a go. I'm a big fan of the K-Wing. I think it is a great looking ship. Not used enough, really. And I just hope that they actually do some more cool things with it. So I decided that obviously I didn't want to just fly 3 Warden Squadrons because it leaves quite a bit of a points difference there, and I was able to fit Miranda Donny in. But with the Warden Squadrons, as you can see, they have Perceptive Co-Pilot, which doubles up very well with Barrage Rockets. Knowing that the K-Wings are I2, it's likely that they are going to get shot before they get a chance to actually shoot, so it gives them 2 focus tokens, 1 for the defensive mod and then 1 for that offensive mod. Comboing that with barrage rockets, one of the few chassis that can actually take barrage rockets, needing the focus there to be able to use them, is a very good combination on there indeed. So that's one of the reasons I picked that. And knowing that the K-Wings do find it difficult to turn around, they have no Sloop Talon or K-Turn, giving them proton bombs gives them a little bit of safety when something is coming out from behind. Now we've got a Sarge using her ability there to basically spend a focus token and force an enemy ship within range 0 to 2 to take a stress token unless it removes a green token. Now, no green tokens on Miranda, so that's going to make her double stress, which is, for anyone that's familiar with the K-Wing, not ideal. As I said, they can't stress themselves, but they do have very limited blue maneuvers. It's only the 1 and 2 straight and the 1 bank. So not very easy to get rid of that stress there. But we've got our first round of shooting there, and that's a hit crit onto Miranda, so not bad. And 1 evade there, so that's the first shield lost on Miranda. So first blood there to Quinn from Massage, but with those higher initiatives and Quinn having initiative, you expect that. Now, Miranda Donny has slammed, which means that it does give her a disarm token, meaning she won't be able to shoot. However, with advanced slam, she was allowed to take an action, and that makes that take a white action and make it red. So she took a target lock on Asajj there. So we've got some barrage rockets coming back in from the Red Warden Squadron. Now, because Red has Asajj in the bullseye arc, he can spend another charge there to re-roll that dice. And we had 2 hits and a crit there, so 2 evades from Asajj. So that's quite nice. Only 1 shield down on Asajj, so not a great shot, but still pretty good. And another barrage rockets coming in here from the Green Warden Squadron. Using that focus wisely, another 2 hits and a crit there. And that's 2 blanks for Asajj, which is not good. So that's shields down and a crit. And Asajj takes a fuel leak, which, for those of you that aren't familiar, or like me have to read the cards when they come up, fuel leak, after you suffer 1 critical damage, suffer 1 damage and repair this card. Not a great crit to get for the first crit on a very hull-orientated ship there, so 7 hull left, meaning that fuel leak is quite likely to take effect there, which is a big shame for Asajj, not what she wants to be seeing early in the game. So it'll be quite interesting to see how Quinn, if this will change Quinn's approach with Asajj, knowing that she has taken a fair amount of damage there. Also, she's facing down the guns of 2 K-Wings, who have the bowtie arc, currently orientated front to back, so even if Asajj does manage to skip past the K-Wings, they will still potentially be able to get a shot into the rear unless something interesting happens here. So just going to go through the system phase, nothing happening there, so no bombs or anything dropping at the moment. And we've got some moving in there. So nicely avoiding the asteroid there. Medium base ships, still a bit of a difficult one to fly. Obviously, very interesting size on those bases in between the large and small base, which for those of you that played 1.0 were probably very familiar with, just like myself. But it does mean it's a little bit of an interesting dynamic. There's not a huge amount of medium base ships out there. But there are a few, so you do get them occasionally. It is quite interesting to see how manoeuvrable or not manoeuvrable they can actually be. Now, Asajj is doing her famous 5k turn, which is quite nice, getting in behind the K-Wings. In a normal situation against most ships, that would be absolutely fantastic. Going to be avoiding that forward arc. Unfortunately, with the K-Wings, they do have that forward to back or left to right, but at the moment it is orientated forward to back. So depending on how much damage those K-Wings take, that is going to be 2 range 1 shots from the K-Wings back into Asajj. So Asajj is going to hope to do as much damage as possible before that comes through. K-Wings very healthy chassis, 6 hull, 3 shields, so they can take quite a bit of beating. Only 1 evade dice, as is the case with quite healthy ships like that. In fact, I think Asajj is probably the ship with the most evade dice on the board there, having 2 evade dice in the Shadowcaster. Even the autopilot drone, when it is actually deployed, only has 2 evade dice, so not many evade dice would be rolled from this game. A lot more on the attack. But it does mean that Asajj is going to have a nice range 1 attack as well. So we have Asajj is going to use her ability. Having a look to see if Miranda's in range, but it's outside of range 2, so it's not going to be applicable. Would be nice for Quinn to get 3 stress tokens on Miranda. That would put us quite clearly out of the game for a little bit. But it's going to be on red and going to remove a green token. So we've got Han taking a range 3 shot at Miranda. And so I'm going to take, it's going to be 2v2 hit. And using BT1 gets a crit there, and that's an evade from Miranda. Asajj doing a range 1 there onto the Red Warden Squadron. And that's 3 hits there, so that's not very good for Red. Red is now just deciding whether to use her focus to take only 2 or... Ooh, choosing violence there, taking all 3 shields on Red. Wanted to save that focus for the return shot. It's always an interesting one whether you want to choose violence, especially when you've got a really strong shot like that. Now, in my mind, as I was playing this, I saw that I had a really good solid range 1 shot, 3 dice out the back there, and I knew that I wanted to put as much hurt in on Asajj. And it was good, we used the focus to get 2 hits there, and got 1 more damage on, so worth it there, otherwise that would have been absolutely nothing from Red, so definitely worth taking that. Green doing another range 1 and 2 more hits there, and what we've got there is another 2 hits going, another hit going through there, spending 1 force to evade that. Oh no, sorry, actually it was 2 hits. Miscue there, Quinn didn't realise that he'd actually already flipped both his force there. 1 to use Asajj's ability and 1 to get a hit there. So it was actually 2 damage there from Green, putting Asajj down to 4 hull and giving half points over to Phil or myself. So early points on the board there is always really good to see. Now, unfortunately for Quinn, he is in a very, very tough position as we have K-Wings with bombs right in front of him. And Quinn has just realised there that actually the force was spent, so 4 damage. So this is a point where Quinn really has to think about what he's going to do next. It's going to be very tough to keep Asajj on the board. Last thing you want is a large base ship like this with a lot of utility going down very quickly. I am a big fan of the Shadowcaster. It is a really good fun ship to use, especially when you've got Asajj and the Force. I tend to run it a little bit lighter than this, but it is still very good. I tend to run it with Brilliant Evasion, Shadowcaster ability and Contraband Cybernetics. Contraband just giving it that utility to be able to flip that and actually do some red maneuvers and red actions whilst stressed. And right now, in fact, if it was me, knowing that it's quite likely that those bombs were going to be dropped, I would have been very tempted to flip contraband cybernetics and do the 5k, hoping that that would actually get me out of range of those proton bombs. But hindsight is 2020, and I'm glad that Quinn didn't, because I was flying the K-Wings, so it'd be interesting to see what manoeuvre he does try to get out of this. Could be trying to do a blue manoeuvre to get away from there. And there is the difficulty we were saying about medium bases. There's a bump there from green into red. So losing any actions there. But again, with that dual facing arc, hopefully he might still have some form of shot on. Now obviously here at Entoyment we're very casual with our games. This was a Wednesday night casual flights game. Quinn had actually put in a 3-bank towards the board edge, which would have taken the Shadowcaster off the board. Now, that doesn't make for a fun game. If it was a tournament, it might be a bit different. But here, in a casual game, we're not going to penalise him for that. So allowed him to swing that back round to the left to keep him on the board. Unfortunately, it does put him in range of those bombs, so I doubt it's going to keep him on the board particularly long. But again, we will see what damage he gets from those 2 bombs. Miranda's just doing a 1 forward to clear that stress. Getting her a little bit out of the fight, but also keeping her safe there. No actions because still got a second stress. And hand coming forward. Really hoping to utilise those rocks to the best of his ability. So he's hoping to see what shots he can get off there. Currently his arc is left to right. So Bob's got 2 crits here on Dosage. So direct hit there, so that's direct hit, second damage from direct hit. You get a 3rd damage for the fuel leak, and then the final crit is a hull breach. Now with Asajj now off the board, that hull is very breached, and that is a very big blow for Quinn there, very early into the game, about 17 minutes into the game, and losing 93 points. In fact, the most expensive ship on your side there is not good at all. But as we've seen in many an X-Wing game, and as most people have probably played, it's not over until it is over. Things can go horribly wrong when you start thinking that you've got the game in the bag. Again, it is going to be difficult. There is a lot of health still to chew through for Han. With those K-Wings having 9 health each, you've got 27 health points to get through. 4 already off, so 23 left, but it does leave you a little bit hurting. And it is all 1 of 8 dice from everyone. And we know green dice are not good. So we've got a crit coming through towards Miranda, 2 of 8 dice, blanks out, so Miranda loses another shield. Unfortunately, with the arcs being forward to back, the Falcon is perfectly positioned to take no shots. Now, at this point, being Quinn, it's it's going to be very tough to decide what you need to do. Definitely need to keep guns on target and try and get as much damage in as possible, utilising those abilities as best you can, knowing that you've got the escape pod ready to go when you need it. But it's, at this point, it is going to be a very tough game. But again, there's a lot of utility on Han there. If he can line up trick shots, that's going to be absolutely brilliant, giving him those extra shots when the target is obstructed. Using Han's ability as well, being able to re-roll the dice when obstructed. BT1 allowing him to change one hit to a crit for each stress token on the defender. So unfortunately, it's going to be highly unlikely the K-Wings are going to stress themselves, but you've got that ability there. And if in a position, obviously cluster missiles on Han Solo is going to be quite good, because it looks like these K-Wings are going to be, at least the Warden Squadron is going to be flying in formation for quite a while. So if you're able to get the cluster missiles off, that could be some very big hurts on those K-Wings. So dials are set. Just wait to see what is being revealed. We have Red Warden Squadron moving in on Han, hoping to continue with an angle on there. Not really knowing exactly where Han is going to be. Obviously with inertial dampeners would allow him to stay right there, but not sure if that's what, if it was me flying Han, not sure if that's what I want to do. Yes, you get a range 1 shot onto the K-Wing, but then you'll be taking 2 range 1 shots back, and 6 dice overall is not what you want. Miranda did what she could do to clear the final stress, essentially keeping it out of the game for a couple of turns there. Debating the advanced slam, hopefully to try and start bringing Miranda back in, getting that angle round. Although they don't have the K-turn, they can get themselves round in a fashion. Doing a 2 hard slamming to another 2 hard can get you round fairly quickly. Does keep you out of the game for a bit of time though, which is one of the downsides of the K-Wing, but again, when you play them, you tend to try and find yourself in positions where that isn't actually going to detriment you too much. And Han is doing a hard 2 to his right. It does go over the rock, so we're interested to see if any damage is taken there for that. And that's a blank, so no damage there, no actions. Going to be checking the arcs. Now this is one of those great times where it'd be lovely if we had an overhead view, but unfortunately we don't. So red is out and green, wait for the call. Oh, it's so close. Laser's difficult to check with. They're really good for like quick checks, but when you need to be precise, it is always good to get the range 2 ruler out. So no shooting there, so very well done from Han. Obviously no shot from him, but got himself out of arc of both those K-Wings. So hopefully going to be able to try and get himself into a really good position for a return shot next turn. So as I said, this game was filmed at Entoyment Wargaming and Hobby Centre down in Poole. It's a lovely store run by Pete and the gang there. They have a great upstairs area for gaming, very well lit, very well ventilated. Obviously at the moment with the social distancing, there's not as many tables in there, but it does allow us to still play, maintain that social distancing. This game was filmed before the rule of 6 was brought in. But even with the rule of 6, Entoyment's still able to provide a safe place for there. They've gone through all of the checks and stipulations that they need to with the council, so it's really good to have a place to play regularly. And it gives a great space for us to be able to get these games filmed and hopefully get you some more games, which we always fly on a Wednesday evening. So hoping to get quite a few games filmed with some different players, different ships, just to see what we're happening. We do have a tournament coming up at Entoyment on the 18th of October. So we'll be bringing you some games from that as well. Again, using the rule of 6, there's no Swiss there. People will be put in sort of bubbles of 6 and we'll be doing a round robin between themselves. So they'll face everyone in that group and then the MOV will be worked out from that. But it'll be really good to actually get another tournament in. It's been a while since we've been able to actually have one. Now, here we are back to dials and seeing what moves we have coming in. So, Red Warden Squadron pressing the Falcon, knowing that it's most likely going to be going towards the corner if it wants to stay on the board. And with Green coming in, gives a really good coverage of that bottom corner. Both doing Perceptive Co-Pilot. I'm a really big fan of Perceptive Co-Pilot. Even at 8 points, it's still a very good upgrade card and very good crew card, especially if you have those tools to use it. Barrage Rockets is a prime example of a great card that really works well with that Perceptive Co-Pilot. I've seen it run on a fire spray. Again, really good there, allowing it that defensive and offensive mod with the dual focuses. Now it can also be quite good as well if you use it with Veteran Turret Gunner. If you're in a position to have a shot out the front and the back, it gives you that potential focus on both shots. So Quinn's looking quite nervous about this manoeuvre. See if it is fitting. It's a 3 sloop to the right. Always really tough when you're doing a large base ship and doing a big manoeuvre like that, but it lands it with plenty of space, which is absolutely brilliant because it would have been quite a shame to have to call the game there after 27 minutes because someone flew off the board. It happens. Many a time we've seen people fly their ships off the board, either by accident or because they've been put into a position where that's the only manoeuvre they had, especially if they're ionized. But fortunately, Quinn was able to keep it on the board there, and he now has a couple of shots back. So he's going into red, hit crit. So 1 evade and 1 crit on the Warden Squadron pilot, which is a disabled power regulator. Now, disabled power regulator, before you engage, gain 1 ion token. After you execute an ion maneuver, repair this card. Now, for those of you that aren't as familiar with ion tokens, to ionize a ship, if it's a small base ship, it requires 1 ion token. Medium ships require 2, and large base ships require 3. Once you are ionized, your next turn you have to do a 1 straight blue, and you can only do a focus off the back of that. Now, in this case, it's not going to affect the Red Warden Squadron this turn. However, it doesn't go away until you actually do the ion maneuver. So 2 rounds of engagement and you will then be ionized. So you've got 2 rounds of shooting and then it's ionized. So just missed that there. 3 barrage rockets into Han. And that was 3 shields off the autopilot drone using the ability there. So that's Lando's Millennium Falcon. And then 3 hits from Green, stripping 3 shields off of Han there. So just to go back there, Lando's Millennium Falcon title card, 1 escape craft may dock with you. While you have an escape craft docked, you may treat its shields as if they were your own ship card. While you perform a primary attack against a stress ship, roll 1 additional attack dice. So, Quinn managed to remember about the shields. Unfortunately, earlier he did not remember about that additional attack dice. So, he's very much there hoping for the ships to get themselves stressed, which is a bit difficult with K-Wings as you have to stress them or hope that they advance slam. So, not the ideal matchup there. But Han took a lot of hurt there, so that was 6 shields off of Han there. So 3 on the escape craft and 3 on the Falcon. And that gives an additional half points from the escape craft. So it'll be interesting now to see what the escape craft is going to do. Got Miranda's actually facing the right way now. You've got the 2 K-Wings ready to turn in and chase that Falcon. So, going to be quite interesting to see what's happening here. And the escape craft is undocking. Going to do a soft one up towards the top of the board. Great little model there, the Lando's Falcon with that escape craft being able to actually undock. It's a really nice touch they've done there. I really do like what they've done with a lot of the 2.0 ships where they've been able to really get their characteristics in there. You've got the T65 and T70 X-Wings with their opening and closing S-foils. Really nice sort of mechanic there, especially with their config cards. It's a nice way for you to actually be able to see, yes, the wings are closed or the wings are open. The new B-Wing with the opening and closing S-foils and that rotating cockpit as well. Absolutely fantastic. As soon as that came out, I knew I had to get myself one of those, despite already having 3 of the 1.0 B-Wings. And then you've obviously got the Falcon with the detachable escape craft, fits in there really nicely, but also comes out quite smoothly as well. The Ghost and Shithapede is able to do that, as well as the Resistance Transport and Resistance Transport Pod. Now, Green Warden Squadron moving back up the board, rotating the arc, trying to keep some guns on target. Not knowing exactly where Han is going to go, but at least if Han happens to go quite fast, which at this point I wasn't thinking he was going to, allows him to keep that gun on. And debating spinning that arc for red, but no, go with the Perceptive Co-Pilot. That way you've got a really good coverage of the arcs there to be able to see if it can keep guns on target. So great thing is there, red knows that he can get a range 1 on the escape craft, but also keeps it so that if Han does go faster than expected, we're still going to get some shots on there. So Mirando's doing the Lando Calrissian action. So roll 2 evade dice and you get what's rolled on there. So it's an evade and a blank. Now if both results were blank, then the opponent then decides what you get there, whether it's a focus or an evade. Han is doing a 3 forward, which will clear his stress from that sloop earlier. And sits quite nicely. Unfortunately, it's now right in front of red and green. Not an ideal place to be. I think Quinn quite wisely there is doing a boost maneuver to get that Falcon out of both arcs, so it leaves him only in the arc of the red Warden Squadron. So green now has no arc there. It's a nice safe place for him. And the arc is still left to right for Han. And just checking to see if... So just out of range of Miranda, so range 1 back onto Green Warden Squadron, so 3 dice. And that's 1 crit, which is a shield gone from the Warden Squadron. So that's now all the ships on my side have now taken some form of damage, but still looking very healthy. Checking the range there, and Red is now going to use barrage rockets on Han, getting 3 dice. Utilising those focuses very well. Final charge is spent to re-roll 1. Blank to blank, which is always really disappointing, but 1 crit onto Han there, and he evades that, so last of the barrage rockets not causing any damage, but I think they've really clawed their points back there quite well. And just checking range for Green on the escape pod. Just going to get someone else to come in and double check that. Even in a casual game, when it's this close, it's always good to get it checked. Plus, wanted to make sure those ships don't move. Moves through quite easily there. So range 2 from the Green Warden Squadron back onto the escape craft. Hoping to get those 2 final damage in to take that out of the game. So Red's now got his final ionization, so that would mean that he's doing a 1 forward next. So 1 hit on the escape craft. And 1 damage there. So not quite enough to get the escape craft off the board, which does allow it to have a return shot, range 1 into Red. So 3 dice versus 1. Ooh, hit crit there. That's not good. And that's 1 of 8, so it's hit crit. So the hit. And that's a damage sensor array on Red. Damage sensor array. You cannot perform any actions except focus actions and actions from damage cards. Action repair this card. To be honest, at the moment I'm looking at that going, he's got Perceptor Copilot. That's the action he's most likely going to be using, so it's most likely going to be focuses, so it doesn't hurt too much. Also being ionized, it means that the only action he can do next turn is a focus, as long as he is able to complete that action. So some good amount of damage there from Quinn onto the K-Wings. It's reduced the Warden Squadron down, Red Warden Squadron down quite dramatically there. So not too far away from getting rid of that one. Obviously the win condition for Quinn is to completely get rid of that Warden Squadron and get another one to half off the board and make it a lot easier for him to contend with 1 or even 2 K-Wings compared to 3. Final proton bomb being dropped there from Green Warden Squadron, hoping to catch the escape craft, doing a stop maneuver there. So it's going to be very close to see if that is within range 1. So moving the Green Warden Squadron first. Obviously want to try and get him out of the way so that the red one can actually move. Unfortunately there is a bump there, which is not going to be good for red, because that means that it is most likely Yeah, she is going to get caught by Green's bomb, so bit of friendly fire there, unfortunately. So that's Disable Power Regulator gone, so that's the ion tokens cleared. Miranda is coming back. Again, not entirely sure where Han's going, so I wanted to try and keep that arc as wide as possible, hoping to catch. Target lock on Han. Han is doing the 3 forward. Which clears that stress. Now looking at the actions of what Han wants to do here. Knowing that the Green Warden Squadron has no shot, it's going to be very close for Miranda in the blue. Taking a focus on Han. So, bomb has gone off. Does it catch the escape craft? Yes, it does. So, the escape craft is blown up. That's a crit on the escape craft. Not that it really affects anything, but it was a damage sensor array on the escape craft. And Red Warden Squadron takes a direct hit, putting her down to 1 hull. So, quite damaging. Green, luckily, does not bomb herself there, keeps herself out of range. So back around to the shooting, we've got Han going to take the only shot that he can, which is at Miranda, range 2. So no stress there to help Han out, no trick shot either. So 1 hit there, and the final shield off Miranda, so Miranda's now down to just 6 hull. Checking arc there, does catch the back of the Falcon, and going to pull out a proton torpedo. So spend 1 charge, range 2 to 3, 4 attack dice. Spending that target lock. So change 1 hit to a crit result, and that's 3 crits onto Han. Let's see how damaging. So 1 shield, 1 crit, and a loose stabilizer. Not great there for the Falcon. So after you execute a non-straight maneuver, suffer 1 damage and repair this card. And the action is to repair that card. So getting a final shot here. 1 hit from Warden Squadron and 1 evade. So no more damage onto Han there. Finally getting 2 dice. So again, not looking particularly great for Quinn here. Falcon's starting to hurt quite a bit. Warden Squadron, Red Warden Squadron, again on 1 health, but still it's going to have some utility there. And the Green Warden Squadron and Miranda still fairly healthy, still with some munitions in there, so it's going to be a very tough one for Quinn. Really needs to try and get one of these off the board right now. Isolate it from the others. So Green Warden Squadron coming in for the chase and rotating that arc. Highly likely that Han is going to be somewhere in that front arc, so I wanted to get those guns back on target. And again, Perceptive Co-Pilot from the Warden Squadron. With its damage card, can only do focuses or repair that damage card, but focuses are exactly what it wants, so there's no point spending an action to repair that card when you can just continue with the focus. Miranda swinging in, trying to get all those guns in behind the Falcon. Taking another target lock So looking very good for me here. I was very happy with how these K-Wings have flown. I wouldn't necessarily say that Quinn has done anything wrong in his manoeuvres. One of the few manoeuvres I would potentially say could have been slightly different was the 3-bank early on from a Sarge, which meant she was going to eat those 2 bombs. I think potentially it would have been better to maybe trigger contraband cybernetics, and either do that 5k or just do the 5 straight and move straight up the board and get away from those bombs. Might have allowed her to live a little bit longer. Could potentially have used the contraband cybernetics to then perform an action while still stressed. But again, as I said, hindsight is 2020, so it's always great to say what we would have done with that information. But again, it wasn't looking particularly great, and Quinn has managed to hold in a lot longer than he was actually expecting. Falcon's got himself in a good position, avoiding Miranda's arc. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to trigger trick shot yet, which would have been absolutely brilliant. So, range 2, 1 hit, and it's another damage on Miranda. So, steadily getting that damage in there, not quite as much as Quinn was probably hoping for. So, red out of range. So, green does have a range 3 unobstructed. So, good work from Quinn there. Only 1 damage on Miranda, but also stopped himself from taking a lot of damage there. By getting out of the arc. So, although not much damage back from Quinn, it was good to avoid taking any unnecessary damage there. So, good work on that one, Quinn. Now, there is a bit of a mistrigger here. Quinn has not actually fully read the loose stabilizer damage card, and seen that once you suffer that damage, you then repair the card. So it's always really important to make sure that you not only know the cards you have on your ships and know what abilities you have and how they interact with each other, but also to make sure that you're reading those crit cards that you have as well, to ensure that you know what they trigger and what conditions that they get removed. Lovely 3-bank there from the Green Warden Squadron there, clearing past Miranda, getting up there by Han and just really putting the pressure on. Not quite as good from Red Warden Squadron, but it's very difficult position there. There wasn't really a move that's going to keep him heading towards Han in a good speed, and also clearing past Miranda there. So very much an inevitable bump there. See, the 2 hard being the only one you have. 2 and 3 bank would have definitely bumped as well, and a 1 bank would have just kept you too far away. Again, bump from Miranda, but this will keep her in a fairly good position so that she can come round a bit harder next turn when the Green Warden Squadron moves up. So Han doing a hard 2 there, hoping for that obstructed shot with Trixel. As we said, unfortunately he did miss the loose stabilizer that should have repaired itself. And he's actually taken the action to repair the loose stabilizer. So unfortunately, a little bit of a mistrigger there. So Quinn, if you are watching this, read your critical damage cards. Know when they disappear. Obviously it's quite difficult to say when you're in the middle of a game, you're so focused on what you want to be doing, what's actually happening on the board, that it can be quite easy to miss those triggers. And everyone's done it, we all know that. So we have A range 2 on green. Trick shot and Han. Ooh, 3 hits and a crit on green there. Spending a focus. So taking a hit crit, so both shields gone and the crit. Fuel leak. So again, not the best first crit to get, however with only one ship actually shooting back at you, taking that there's not too bad. Weapons failure would have been absolutely horrendous. So hit crit there from red. And that goes through, so hit crit. And another fuel leak. This seems to be the day for fuel leaks on this game. So that's 3 fuel leaks that have actually come out here. So barrage rockets there from green. Spending focus for 2 hits there. So 3 evade dice back. Ooh, rolling daddies. It's always quite nice when you have more dice than you normally would and they all pay off for you. Green dice can be very difficult, but that worked out really good there. So keeping Han in the game, that wouldn't have been enough to take him out. He would have still been left with 1 hull if for some reason he was not able to evade those, but he's still in the game, giving him a little bit more. But again, at this point, it's looking very much like a foregone conclusion that the K-Wings have enough firepower, enough arcs, and enough capabilities to take Han off the board. Han needs to get these K-Wings off the board to be able to actually score points, but with the way they're flying very close, they're covering each other, it's going to be quite difficult. Red Warden Squadron, it's possible to take that one out, so that could potentially help there, but if you're in a position to take red out, you're going to have green and possibly Miranda still shooting at you, so it's a very tough one for Quinn. Not a position that most players would like to be in, but it's going to be interesting to see if he can get one of these K-Wings down. Now going aggressive there with the Red Warden Squadron. Continuing to Perceptor Co-Pilot, the only action it can actually take at this point with the damage sensor array. Green clearing the debris there, rotating the arc, so building up quite a nice kill box there. This is a very, very good spots for these ships. Miranda coming in, just adding a little bit more to that kill box. Yeah, so rotating the arc, there's almost nowhere that Han can go that will get out of the arc, but it's a hard to the left, which is bumping into red, which means Han does not have the ability to take out red this time, unfortunately, landing himself on the debris. Now, probably noticed there a bit of spinning and manoeuvring of the models there. So I actually do have all of my ships magnetised. I do find it's quite handy, especially when you've got ships that are quite bulky, go over the edge of the board, of the template of the base. It just allows you to be able to swing their position slightly and allow you to keep them a bit more like on the ball without actually having to take them off. And that was a focus there for the debris, so no damage there. So obstructed range 2 shot on Miranda from Han, hoping to get as much damage in as possible. 2 crits and 2 hits there. And 1 evade, so 1 hit, 2 crits, so direct hit, let it down to 2, and the final crit is Loose Stabilizer. Now that would have been very good for Quinn there if he'd managed to get the dual direct hits, or if he'd have got a fuel leak and a direct hit, it would have been quite nice, but still very painful there for Miranda. So very well done there, great shot. Nothing back from Miranda. Range 2 from Green. Missed the target lock there, unfortunately, but Green gets 1 hit. And that puts Han down to 2 health. So shame missed the target lock there, would have been quite good for Miranda. But again, lots going on there. So 20 minutes left. Han has, Quinn has done very well there with Han, reducing those 2 Warden Squadrons, reducing Miranda and the Warden Squadron down to 1 health on each, getting the Green Warden Squadron down to 5 with a fuel leak. So if there is any way that Quinn can keep Han in the game and with some guns on target, he could potentially get one of these K-Wings out of the game, which will really help him there. Less guns being shot at him, but it is going to be a very difficult situation to try and do that, especially with him being stressed. He's going to have to do a maneuver to clear that stress if he wants to be doing actions, as there's no contraband cybernetics on there. So you're looking at either a 1, 2 or 3 forward or a 1 bank. And Red Warden Squadron is dropping the final proton bomb. So could this be what takes Han out? We have already seen Asajj and the escape craft taken out by bombs. So could this be 3 for 3 for the proton bombs? And would that make them the MVP of the game, in fact, if you were able to take it all out with the proton bombs? And a lovely 3 bank there from the Red Warden Squadron, clearing away from that proton bomb and getting past and over the Falcon. And Perceptive Co-Pilot there for Red, just in case it does still have a shot. Green swinging round. Again, keeping those arcs pointed that way. Got really good kill box in there. So that's going to make it quite good. Miranda doing that 1 forward, 2 forward to avoid the loose stabilizer and flipping loose stabilizer, so no chance of her maneuvering and killing herself. And it's a hard 3 from Han. White maneuver, stressed, no chance to boost out of that. So just gonna check. And yep, that bomb goes off. So 1 crit. Fuel leak. Oh, regardless of if he had fuel leak, it was a direct hit. So, wow, great work there for those proton bombs. Really making up their points. So, in the end, a very good game there. I still think that Quinn flew absolutely brilliantly. A few possible changes that he might look at doing in the future. But a really nice list, and it was lovely to see K-Wings on the board. Really enjoyed flying them. But I just want to say thank you very much, guys, for taking the time to watch this video. If you do like what you're seeing, please hit the like button and subscribe to get more content. And don't forget to check us out on Twitter at Out of Arc Gaming. to keep up to date with all the latest news. But until next time, thank you very much.